only had 3 named storms, Alex, Bonnie, and Colin. Colin was nearly 60 days ago. If we go today without a named storm, we will be 60 days without a named storm. So it's possible. We also have had 0 named storms in the Atlantic in the month of August, which is fairly rare. This is only the 5th year now that has happened. The longest time, as I mentioned, between those named storms, so Colin was our last named storm 59 days ago, but if we go all the day today, it will be 60 days. And then we'll be nearing that 61 mark of the longest streak without a named storm. Now that longest streak was June 18th through August 18th. That was back in 1999. So I took a look at what happened in 1999 and in 2007. Both years were actually La Nina. We tend to associate stronger hurricane seasons, more active hurricane seasons with La Nina conditions and the Pacific Ocean there in near the equator. However, both of those were La Nina. We did have 12 named storms after that streak. So there's still time for the tropics to really start becoming more active. We've got to distribute that heat along the equator somehow, and hurricanes are how we tend to do that. 15 named storms were after the streak in 2007, or 13 were after the streak in 2007, and the last storms both of those years were into November and December. So long hurricane season still potentially ahead of us. Right now we are still monitoring 3 areas in the Pacific. One is a tropical depression, so it's on its way to potentially getting a name. The forecast train does have it getting a name and potentially becoming a hurricane. No major impacts to the Gulf though, and I want to point out hurricane season, we are here now, so we're nearing the peak of hurricane season, which is this month, September 10th. That's also happens to be when we see the most rainfall. That orange line right there, that is where we tend to see rain in September. August tends to be one of our less rainy months, but we top the charts there. August seeing the most rain at 11.21 inches. June and July were well below normal with just 1/4 of an inch around there to 1/2 an inch both of those months. So we've really caught up on our rainfall. While the tropics aren't too active for us here in the Gulf, we sure are tapping into that Gulf moisture and that tropical air. So we are expecting stormy conditions heading into this weekend. Heavy rainfall is likely with a stationary front stalling out. So that stationary front impacting us Labor Day weekend. Flooding is likely Friday through Monday, and that flood risk today is north of us, but as we take a look to Friday, we start to see that flood risk along the coast. Then Saturday, slight risk of flooding across the coastal bend and up toward Houston as well. We've got those soggy conditions for the holiday weekend ahead of us. Here's a look at potential rainfall totals. Yeah, we're talking 3, 4 isolated areas, seeing more right through the coastal bend in South Texas. That may fluctuate a little bit depending on where the stationary front stalls out, but we've got a lot of rain